Blog Talk Radio.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add groove to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Wilton Manors, Florida, with your host, Mark Angelo Cummings, a show for trans folks, by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard. Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you to all the chatters. Thank you for all the listeners. Well, tonight on my show, I have an amazing trans couple who has been in the media sharing their story of love and their quest to educate the world, as well as having a family of their own. Nick is currently carrying their second child. But before I bring them on, I want to thank my sponsor, thebreastformstore.com. They have everything you need for your cross-dressing and transgender needs. Visit their website and tell them Transition Radio sent you. Bianca is a Pisces and was born of Filipino Caucasian descent. She quotes, "I grew up in Macon, Georgia, and attended a number of schools from elementary through high school. After starting a private high school, I experienced and was subjected to a lot of bullying, and I moved to Warner Robins, Georgia, where I transferred to another high school. While there, I became very active in the chorus and theater departments, and that is what got me excited into beginning what is now my career. When I was 18, I began working as a drag queen at a local gay club and started my career as Bianca Nicole. I continued with my career working alongside the Lady Chablis in Savannah, Georgia, and in 2006 moved to Atlanta, where my career bloomed and I became nationally recognized. I began living my life as a woman in 2002 and changed my name later that year to Bianca Nicole Canvas. About a year after that, my father assisted in my breast augmentation surgery in December of 2003. And I felt a weight lifted off my shoulder and placed onto my chest ever since. In January 2010, I met the man of my dreams, who has proven to be the only one that can handle a woman like me. In the summer of 2011, we gave birth to our son, Kai, and on November 11, 2011, we legally became husband and wife. Currently, we're expecting our second son, Pax, to be born on August 12, 2013. Nick was born on February 18th of 1987 in Middlesburg Heights, Ohio. My family was in the military while I was growing up, so I jumped around a lot to different cities and finally ended up in Atlanta in 1999. After graduating high school in 2005, I went to the Air Force, and in February of 2006, I became the general manager of a Pizza Hut. Then I met Bianca, and the rest is history. Nick is going for a degree in the medical field. Now, welcome to our show, Bianca and Nick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hello,
How are
everyone.
both?
Oh, doing great. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to bring really positive role models to the show where they can share their story and help others, because by being more visible, we're helping the rest of the community as well as our allies and those that need education. So, time is almost there. August 13th, right? That's like, wow.
August 13th. Yeah, we're almost there. We've got less than 2 weeks now.
Wow, that's exciting. Very exciting.
It is exciting. I'm done.
Shop closed. Yeah, I've never experienced that, but I'm sure that it is very difficult. And I don't know how these individuals have 9, 10, 11 kids. It's really, really hard.
I can't imagine having more than 2. I think 2 is enough.
Yeah, that should be the limit. Literally. Well, let me ask you, where did you two meet, and how did the relationship blossom?
Well, let's see, Mark. Just sometime in 2000, like late 2008, early 2009, I was hopping around here in Atlanta, working at a lot of different venues, and back then I would jump around like in the same night. From one nightclub to the next nightclub. Well, one night I was jumping around, and the second club that I happened to go to, which is actually kind of like a home bar to me, where everybody knows your name kind of thing, and you kind of are family with everyone. I went to the bar. I was performing. On my way to the dressing room, I stopped in for a drink and to say hello to a friend of mine that was a bartender there. And then when I stopped in at the bar, I had asked her who this person was, who this really cute person was sitting at the end of the other bar. It happened to be Nick, and she happened to be a mutual friend of both of ours. So she filled me in on who he is and everything. And after the show, we met up at the bar, and we just kind of hit off from there.
That's amazing. Very few people think they could actually meet somebody that's going to blossom into something beautiful in a bar, but there are good stories out there of individuals that have that in a place like that. So I'm very happy for you both, especially for the beautiful man. Both have community. Did either one of you thought for a moment that you could be in a relationship with someone that was going through the same trans issues?
I think for both of us, it didn't really matter. I wasn't particularly looking for, somebody else who is transgender, and I don't think Bianca was either, but I think for both of us, it's just the person. It's not their biological sex or the sex they're transitioning to. It's who they are on the inside that attracted us to each other, and that's really the only thing that matters.
I agree, but sometimes, in our minds we have predisposed thoughts of who we want to be with. And I know I just came out of a relationship with a transgender female, and in my mind I never really thought that I was going to end up with a transgender woman in a relationship. I didn't have any expectations, but it's like because of certain issues that we face, and this kind of leads me on to the next question. Has it been difficult because both of you are dealing with a lot of the same issues, being on hormones and having a lot of emotional issues? I mean, we do come with certain baggage for sense because of the way we were treated when we were growing up, trying to fit into society. Has that made it difficult being trans and having to deal with hormones? I know testosterone can make an FTM slightly edgy and angry, and I know from living with an MTF that estrogen can actually create a lot of issues. I'm not going to badmouth or say anything, but it can create a lot of emotional issues. Has this been the case with you both?
I really don't think we've had very many issues with either one of our transitions. I think the hardest part of our relationship is me being pregnant. Because for me personally, my body is even more disconnected with my brain at this point. And we've been together 4 years now, almost. We've been pregnant twice. So, I mean, that's 20 months out of our relationship that I've been pregnant. So I go through my emotional ups and downs, you know, looking in the mirror in the morning and seeing what I look like. And that is the one thing that Bianca cannot fully understand. She can try as much as she can possibly try, but there will never be that understanding. Now, as far as us being transgender, she has that understanding of how I feel about needing to have surgery, or how I feel about, you know, needing to have hormones and things like that, because she has those same needs. But as far as being pregnant, there's really no way to describe it until you actually go through it. And unfortunately, she won't be able to go through with it.
So there hasn't been, I know that we had a lot of disagreements, and a lot of it had to do with hormones, because being on estrogen almost can duplicate PMSing possibly. And I guess, Bianca, I could ask you this. I mean, do you feel that the hormones affect your moods at times and make you excessively sensitive? Or, you know, you don't deal with things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed at times that things are a little bit more sensitive for me. Like, I don't know, seeing Hallmark commercials make me cry more than when I'm not on hormones, as opposed to when I am on hormones. You know, things like that. I do feel like there's more of a sensitivity from me, and more of an emotional. Like an emotional sensitivity from me. I'm more understanding, or I'm more sympathetic to issues that I may not necessarily be sympathetic if I were not on hormones.
And I'm not sure if you're pre-op or post-op. Do you ever, and I know some of the medication, I know that spirulactone creates some issues and with anger and things like that, or mood swings. Do you ever find that being your case, or has that not ever been a problem? Or it's almost like a battle of...
No, it hasn't been a problem for me. I mean, it's never seemed to make me go through any kind of anger. The emotion that it normally sends me through is more of a minor case of depression. But that's really it. I mean, it's real minor. But everybody's different, because the chemical makeup is different, and so on and so forth.
And it's true, depending on the receptors of the person's body, sometimes people stimulate hormones a lot better than others. And if there's issues stemming from childhood, then there are other it's like opening up another bag of worms, or, you know, things like that.
Exactly.
Nick, as you said, right, you haven't been on testosterone for a while, so your dysphoria is really probably very heightened at this point, looking in the mirror and really trying to deal with what you're seeing. How are you dealing with this, and what are you doing to make it better?
Well, for me, it's a day-by-day thing. I have good days and I have bad days, and that goes for anybody, I guess, in any situation. Bianca always tells me that it's almost over. So I've got her, you know, cheering me on in the background, but, you know, I have the voices inside my head telling me this is crazy. Because it really is. I mean, things on testosterone, they change, right? Your body changes, and it changes in a way that I think almost all trans guys like. I don't think I've met a trans guy who didn't like the effects of testosterone. I don't know. But you go off the testosterone, and then you get pregnant, and your body not only goes back to how it was before, but it changes even more towards the other side of the spectrum. So it's like super female body. That's what it is. It's like the ultimate female-bodied experience that you could possibly have is while you're pregnant. So, I tell myself that this will end. It's not forever. And I can go back to looking how I looked before I was pregnant. And you have to tell yourself that over and over again.
I imagine it has to be very difficult. But like you said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and plus you're bringing forth a beautiful being that will be well worth it, what you're doing. And you have your little family. That's a beautiful thing. How far along?
No, go ahead.
How far along were you on testosterone before your first pregnancy?
First pregnancy, we decided to not. I didn't go on any sort of hormones for the first pregnancy, so I was through testosterone then, and we weren't planning on having a second child. So as soon as we had Kai, I went on hormones, and then nearly a year later, we decided that we should go ahead and try for the second one. So I stopped taking the testosterone, and 4 months later we wound up pregnant. So it didn't take very long at all. But I was on the hormones long enough to, get the effects that I really wanted, and I had been waiting for many years. So we get pregnant, and all of that is taken away. So it's a give and take. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not worth it, because it's completely worth having our own children. I do not regret any decisions that we have made to have our own children. As miserable as I might be while I'm pregnant, I know afterwards I'm happy, and we will have 2 children that are biologically ours. So it's completely worth it. It's just a very difficult thing to do.
And the second round is a lot harder, because the first time around you had nothing to compare it to, so now it's really feeling it. I'm assuming.
Yeah, completely different than the first time. I mean, I identified as male then, and, I mean, that wasn't the problem, but then I would pass, 50% of the time maybe. And then I got on the hormones, and then I didn't have any problems passing at all, and everything was all fine and great, and then, we decided to have baby number 2, and slowly but surely throughout the pregnancy, I passed less and less and less. And it's only because of the stomach and hips. I mean, there's no way around it.
Well, how has the public reception been?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
How has the public's reception of you two been?
I guess overall, having been on like the Ricky Lake show and really talking about our situation, the public has been very positive when it's come to stuff like that. Outside on a regular, normal day-to-day basis of people that don't know who we are, they'll look at us and it's like they'll get a little confused. Some of them don't really know what's going on, and then people that think they know what's going on, and they end up writing us off as a lesbian couple, with the butch partner being the one carrying the child. That's pretty much it.
And how about you, Nick? I know that there are many judgmental people out there regarding the roles of men and women. How does it feel to be carrying this child, and have you had any ramifications from the trans community in general? I know that, I think his name was Thomas. He had a lot of backlash, which I think is crazy because, to me, we're human beings, whether we're trans or not, and if one feels that one wants to carry their child, whether you're lesbian or not, you should be able to. No one should judge, especially anyone in the LGBT community. How has the reception been with you and the FTM brothers? Well,
in the beginning, the before we got pregnant with Kai, we went to a transgender conference, and I was talking to some people about us having our own child. Bianca and I had already made the decision that's what we were going to do. So it didn't really matter what anybody else thought. We had already made up our minds. But, for the sake of conversation, it was brought up and we talked about it. And, they were pretty negative about the fact that I wanted to be pregnant. They told me it went against everything that transgender men stand for and everything that we fight against, and it shouldn't be done, and transgender men shouldn't be pregnant. So ever since that day, I don't really talk about me being pregnant with transgender guys. It's not something that I wish to relive. I don't agree with how those people felt. I made my own decision. Bianca and I made a decision for our family, and ultimately, in the end, we get what we want. We have our family that we wanted, and we also get to transition into the people that we were supposed to be. So I don't really see a problem with it. As far as society is concerned, outside of the community, the things that I've read about other transgender men being pregnant is ridiculous. I try not to read anything. I don't know anything that was said about the Ricky Lake show. I don't look at it, especially while I'm pregnant, because I'm hypersensitive to everything that's going on around me. So I don't need anything negative right now.
I hear you. And I'm pretty sure a genetic man, if his wife was not able to get pregnant, he had the capability of doing so, I would assume that the man would take the role to be able to have a child. So I think I tip my hat off to you, because you had a lot of, pardon the French, balls to do this, because you wanted to bring forth your family, and to me, you're all man. And those are people out there that are judging. They don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to fit this little stereotypical box that society wants all of us to be in. And there is no such thing as not trans enough, not man enough. And I just think it's crazy. People judge that have no room to judge, because they've been judged all their lives. How dare they judge another? That's my view.
No, I completely agree. You do what you do. You do what you have to do to fulfill the need that you have. And we have the need to have a family, so I'm doing what I have to do. But that doesn't negate my father role that I play, towards Kai, or when Pax is here, towards Pax. Kai still calls me daddy. Just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean those roles change. I might not be able to play with them like I used to before I got so far along, but he knows no different. Our family is our family, so I'm still daddy. I'm still Bianca's husband, regardless of if I'm 37 and a half weeks pregnant.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. Somebody said, what about healthcare teams? And I was kind of like, what do you mean? They said, finding trans-friendly OBGYNs being respected as a man while pregnant, doing checkups. Do you have a trans-friendly OBGYN, and have they shown respect?
Yeah. We started off with one here in Atlanta, and he sees quite a few transgender people in the Atlanta area. And over the years, he's become more and more open to the transgender community. He not only sees transgender males, but he also sees transgender females. So, and he does the hormones, and he does, all the lower checks that we need on a yearly basis. And he's been really good. And we also have another OB who doesn't see any trans patients. I mean, I'm his only patient, but him and his staff have been very open. They've been great to us. We haven't had any problems. I really think it's that initial phone call that you make to the office. You call the office and you say, I'm a transgender male. Will you see me? And normally you can judge by the reaction of the receptionist whether or not that doctor is going to be open to having you as a patient. And there's no face-to-face contact. It's simply over the phone, and you never have to talk to him again. But for us, I think that has been the easiest way to judge how people will react when you walk into that office.
Definitely. And plus, you're also educating by doing what you're doing. And I think the more and more disability and the more and more we do what our heart tells us, and we go to places that may not have ever experienced something like this, and they open up their hearts and mind, you're helping other trans guys, which I'm sure there are many trans guys out there that will eventually do this as well. So, congratulations. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Let me ask you, what are your hopes? Go ahead.
Well, I'm very happy that, we didn't go into this as an education thing. We went into this for our family, but I'm glad that it's turned into an education process, not only for our community, because trans relationships are not that uncommon, but trans relationships that result in biological children are very rare. So I want people's minds to be open, but I also want society around us to recognize us and that we're not so much different from everybody else. So
exactly. Well, how can the viewers get a hold of you if you have any questions, or not the viewers, the listeners? I always get my TV versus radio show confused. How can they get a hold of you if they have any questions, any trans guys that might be thinking about undertaking having a child? Facebook page, or do you guys prefer not to?
Well, we've got Bianca has her show page. We also have both of our personal pages. Our last name is Bowser, and you can find us that way. I'll make sure my profile page isn't set to, the super ridiculous private. You can also email me. Go ahead.
If you send me the information, I make a guest page of all the guests that I have. You get me the information, and that way they could just click on the link and get directly to you for any questions or anything like that. So that's it.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you both, and I wish you lots and lots of luck for the future and a healthy and happy baby. And thank you so much for doing what you do. And I know that you'll go down in history and you'll help many, many other people evolve and learn to open up their hearts and mind and realize that it takes all different kinds of people to make up a family, and that we need to break free from the stereotype.
Thank you for having us. Really.
Maybe once you guys can settle, I would love to have you on the TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Definitely. Would love to.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. In the trans news, inside higher education, equal access at all levels by Ali Gratz Green. Last week, between the U.S. Education Department Office for Civil Rights and the California School District may have been issued at the kindergarten to 12th grade level, but the newly clear message that federal laws prohibit discrimination based on gender identity applies to colleges too. The U.S. Department of Justice and Education jointly determined that California's Arcadia School District violated Title IX of the Education Amendment of 1972, which prohibits sex discrimination by barring a transgender student from sex-specific facilities and activities. All schools and colleges receiving federal funds are obligated to comply with Title IX or risk losing their funding. OCR says schools must work to prevent gender nonconforming discrimination when, for example, a student who is assigned a male sex not act as a stereotypical boy, maybe using female pronouns or wearing dresses, is bullied. But this resolution agreement takes that a step further by covering gender identity discrimination when the same student discriminates above is barred from using the female restroom. She's not being excluded because she doesn't act like a stereotypical boy and is therefore nonconforming, but because she has a transgender identity, her identity doesn't match the sex she was assigned at birth. The settlement is also a first in that it deals with access to education programs, facilities, and activities, which is really what Title IX is all about. Whereas the 2010 letter related more to school climate, harassment, and bullying. The issue is not hypothetical. Colleges report that they are enrolling more transgender students who are requesting various services and policies. Anti-bias rules, access to bathroom, ability to join athletic teams at some institutions, they haven't been satisfied with the response. It actually is groundbreaking. Aaron Bustos, law professor at Western New England School of Law, who runs the Title IX blog, said in an email. By taking one such case, OCR signals its willingness to take similar cases in the future, and there's no reason to think those cases would also include college students. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining me yet again another night, Thursday. Please stay tuned for the TV show. I've got Marge, the actual producer of Trans, the movie, and look forward to that beautiful interview, and please make sure to catch us live at 9 p.m. Eastern, Thursday night. Thank you for listening. Thank you all for chatting. Have a beautiful, good day. Love you. But remember to